My name is Leslie Rogers, U.S. Army. I was in for 5 years between 1968 and 1973. I did a variety of jobs in the military. I spent a few months working with the 2nd Armored Division in Texas. Moved on to Nike Hercules missiles, and also in Texas. Was stationed in places like Southside Chicago and missile sites. From there, I moved to Vietnam. Spent a year, and then when I left that field, I came back to Fort Bliss, Texas, back into a different type of missile.
Did you see any combat while you were in Vietnam?
Yes, we did. The CH-47, they listed it as the 228th Aviation ASSH, which is Air Support Assault Helicopter Battalion. So we used to ferry people in with supplies and pick people up and bring them out.
Were you ever in Cambodia or Laos?
Yes, that was one of the things where they did misinformation in the United States. They were telling them that we weren't in Cambodia, but in reality we were. We had helicopters flying in support of ground troops, and one of the jobs we did is when there was a downed helicopter or different groups of soldiers or whatever needed to come out, we would go in and pick them up, and either they would get inside the ship and fly back with us, or we would pick them up, swing over, hook onto their equipment, and carry what they would call a sling load from the belly of the aircraft and come back. So there was times we would spend camped out at banana plantations.
Did you ever come in contact with Agent Orange?
It's pretty much impossible to be anywhere in Vietnam without coming in contact with Agent Orange. They used to take large Air Force aircraft, set them up as tankers, and fly at maybe 20,000, 30,000 feet, and they would spray a mist which would cover for miles. And when you go back and pull the documentation on that, you'll find out they sprayed millions of pounds on the country. And today, there's still areas over where they have problems where crops and stuff won't grow because it's that messed up.
What did you fear the most?
That takes in a lot of things. Probably the thing that would bother most people, and it bothered a lot of people over there, is the North Vietnamese didn't have the moral standards or value human life the way we would. We would hear and see a lot of atrocities going on in the villages. I know of a lady that had both legs chopped off just simply because she come in and worked on one of the military bases. They would walk in and they would take a young child and strap a grenade to them and send them into a group of soldiers. So those were the things you wonder. Well, you see a nice child, you want to walk over and help, but you didn't want to.
Yeah.
You were afraid to. Those kind of things.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
In Vietnam, when you got 25 missions, they give you an air medal and kept sending you out the next day. So yeah, I received 13 of those. So that would, and then 3 Army Accommodations Medal, 3 Good Conduct Medals, 1 Army Accommodation Medal, Presidential Unit Citation for our combat experience. Yes.
Is that something you're proud of today?
Yes. That was a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of ducking.
Are there any stories you'd like to share?
You find there's a lot of closeness in guys and women too. In the military, you'll do a lot of silly stuff. Some you can repeat, some you can't. I used to enjoy a lot of the stuff. We would go out and you would pick these guys up and bring them back in from the field. Some of them had been in the field for maybe a month. And the Chinook carries troops inside. Everybody sees these UAVs they use on the movies and everything right now, but the Chinook would carry 44 combat-equipped troops inside with 3 Jeeps. So when you're bringing some of these boys in from the field after being out in the field for a month, and ain't none of them had a shower in a month. So, yeah, I can tell you some stories about being inside with 44 troops that ain't had a bath in a month. And the only thing they want to do is get rid of all the stuff they got, so the first thing they do when they got in was take a hot shower, which was also a challenge.
What was a typical day like when you were in Vietnam?
Okay, being in the flight crew, our typical day started somewhere between 3:30 and 4 o'clock in the morning, because we would go down and, you go get breakfast, and you would go down and they do what they call pre-flight. It's a inspection of the ship. And some of them you knew you were going to go out right away, and some of them you knew you were on standby, and other times you may be not going out, but the ship had to be ready to go. And so we would start about 3:30, getting up, getting breakfast, walking down to our flight line, and then pre-flighting the ship, getting it ready, making sure everything was ready to go. And then either just before dawn or at dawn, you would take off. So a lot of times by 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, we were already underway. Depending on what you were doing that day, you might not get back to 8 or 9, 10 o'clock at night. And there were days you would do that. You would go back, take a shower, grab something to eat, go to bed, be woke up, and now you're going out on a late night mission. Some base out in the middle of nowhere needed some equipment because their equipment just went bad, so they had to have it right away. So then you would go down and pick up the equipment and fly it to them. They talk about something interesting there. Flying hold your hand here in pitch black and then fly somewhere. And that's what we had to fly by radar all the way out and all the way back. We would fly out, a lot of times we would fly out at night, we would fly out at 10,000 feet and with no lights. Couldn't have any lights because if you did, you were a target. You know, because at night you look up, how far can you see an airplane? You can see them for miles. Mm-hmm. And over there they have what they call radar-controlled guns. And if they could get it locked on you and you were in range, you were down.